Valentine's Day there, savvy viewers. Today we are going to be talking about love, but not in the way that a lot of other people are talking about it today. Today we are going to be examining how you can make clients fall in love with your website because your website is a really important thing. It's like a digital handshake, and first impressions matter. So, how do we transform our websites, these virtual spaces, into love at first sight for our clients? That's what we're going to be looking at today. How we can weave that magic into your website and not just make it look good. Looks are important. Make it feel good. Your audience needs to feel connected to that site. So, we are going to be discussing things like client-centric language and how we can become better at that. We can talk about storytelling with both text and visuals. And we're going to be talking about interactive elements on your website that will make your website sing. So, let's get to it today. But before we do that, we're going to play a little music and make sure that all the feeds are going live. So, while I do that, please be sure to say hello and let me know where you're tuning in from today. We'll be right back. Y'all should have seen what was happening behind the scenes there because I was panicking going, where's the music? What's happening? I hope it was playing on your end. I forgot that I had my I forgot if I had my headphones plugged in, and that just kind of freaked me out there for a second. So pardon me for one moment while we make sure that the feeds are going live in all the places. I think we are good to go. Hey there, Instagrammers. Instagrammers, if you're watching today, give us a comment because I think I can bring them up on the screen now, and I'm really excited about that. Okay, it was playing Cassandra. Thank you. Hey there, Laura. Hey there, Susan. She is working on making clients feel good about your website. Awesome. So I'm excited to share all these tips today. All right, so the topic of the day, it played. Okay, Lauren says that it played. Okay, cool. We're going to see if we can bring up your comment. I hope it's going to come across on eCam because that would be sweet if it actually did. All right, let's do this. So the topic of the day, we are focusing on how we can make clients fall in love with our websites because a website is like a really important way for people to discover you. So whether they are finding you through a search or if people are sending others info about your studio, if it's a referral and then they are going to check you out because they're like not quite sure yet, we want that website to be a place that really makes them feel seen and heard and appreciated and moves them into action. So that is what we're focusing on today. I'm really excited to go through these steps. Speaking of websites and all of that goodness, we spoke about websites last week. We are talking about websites all February long here. And so if you have questions about websites that you would like to pose to the Savvy team, let us know about them and we'll see if we can work those into our broadcast. We've got some good things planned for you next week. We're going to be digging into SEO. So if you heard me say, people finding you in search and you're going, nobody ever finds me in search, don't worry, we got ya. All right, for those of you, let me take a moment and pause. For those of you who are new here, welcome, welcome. My name is Sarah Campbell, and I am a business strategist, mindset, and marketing coach for music studio owners and online education experts just like you. And we go live here most Wednesdays where we talk about those topics. And today we're really digging into the marketing side of things. So, we have resources set up for you today. If you are on Instagram or if you are on Facebook, you can put the word love down in the comments and you will get the resources sent to you by the Savvy Sarah bot. YouTubers, pay attention. The word will not work on YouTube because the Savvy Sarah bot doesn't see them. But she has a special link for you, and it is in the description, and it is also in the chat. So you can click on that link to get a hold of the notes. All right, so let's unpack this issue today, shall we? I would love to know from those who are watching, whether live or on the replay, do you have a website? right? And if you do have a website, which I believe many of you do, if you do have a website, how much time have you invested in that website? Has it been quite a bit, or maybe has it been a while since it's been updated? Websites take a lot of effort. I understand that fully. We're doing some, behind the scenes stuff here at Savvy and updating our website. And we want all that hard work that you are doing on your site to really pay off. So what we are going to be focusing on is how we can sprinkle our own creativity and your unique flair as a music teacher, and figure out how we can sprinkle that throughout our websites to make that website an experience, a journey, and a promise of what's to come when clients decide to work with you. So lots of good stuff that we're going to be covering. We got 3 main points. Let's get right to them. I see this. Yay. Susan has put the magic word down below. The Savvy Sarah bot will reach out to you. Anna, so good to see you. Our traveling piano teacher said so she made some small updates to her site last week. Hey there, Sharon. Nice to see you. She's tuning in from Detroit. And we have Harmony Music Education tuning in on the YouTubes. Oh, yay. Susan says, Sarah helped me with my website a couple of years ago, and it's time to make an update. Yeah, websites get old, and then they need to be refreshed. Savvy's website, we launched the new site in 2020, and I'm like, oh, wow. It's been a hot minute, so it's time to do a refresh. So let's get to our first tip today. So if we want clients to really fall in love with our websites, here's the first thing that we're going to be covering. We're going to go through how we can use more client-centric language in very specific ways. Oh, I see Wendy is watching over on Instagram. She says, it's been a huge while since I updated it. Oh, well, you might be in the right place today then. So let's discuss what I mean by client-centric language. There are 3 main things that I want to go through here. Well, when it comes to client-centric language, we want to use language that shows empathy and understanding. So let me define that a bit. We want the language that we choose throughout our website to reflect a deep understanding of the client's needs, their challenges, their aspirations, etc. This all ties back to, if you don't understand your ideal client, it's time to do some work there, right? We need to understand, why are they seeking you out? Why are they going to choose you specifically? We need to understand what kind of a problem they're trying to solve, what kind of a teacher they're looking for, etc. Because when we are able to choose language that shows that understanding, that shows that we understand what they need, what they value, we create this connection that makes clients feel seen and valued. And that's really important. So some of the ways that we can do that is to think, one of the things that I would encourage you to do is to examine some of the copy on your website and look for, here's your test. You ready? If you see a lot of language that says I, me, etc., that is not client-centric. We are looking for more language that says, like, hey there, singer, we see you. The test is, if you see a lot of I, me, which I get because we want to explain our credentials. We want to, establish our expertise. But there's a better way to do that rather than having I and me-centric language. It's having client-centric language. So we want to speak directly to those clients and speak to their needs and their desires and aspirations. So, it might be things like what I just said, hey there, singer, we see you, and then etc. and describe how you see them. It could be, here at Sarah's Music Studio, we understand blah, blah, blah. We want to show empathy and understanding about that client. It's really important. Oh, we've got our first takeaway of the day. This is from Cassandra. She says, my takeaway is that do not talk in the first person. I like that. So, let me add to that. Yes, you're going to use I on the website at some point. But if you do that little test and you notice that most of your language is all about you and not about the client, then that's telling you you're missing out on some, some really great ways to make the client feel seen. Okay, so let's keep going with this client-centric language. Another way to encourage this on your website is to really focus in on benefits over features. So we're going to describe what that means. So what we want to do is we want to focus on how our services or our products benefit the client rather than just listing what they get when they work with us. This is something that we work on very intensely in the branding classes here at Savvy Music Studio. And it is a concept that if you've never worked on features over benefits, like when it comes to marketing, it's a concept that takes a little bit of time to kind of sink in. And I'll try to define it quickly for you here. But let me tell you why it's important. When we are able to communicate the benefits of working with us, this gives clients the ability to visualize that positive impact on their lives. So they can visualize what it might be like to work with you. So in a nutshell, and this is like the most parsed down way to describe this, a feature is something that you deliver. It's something that you give to somebody. A benefit is the result of what happens when that client uses that feature. So let me give you a clear example. So maybe you have a part of your website that lists how you deliver your piano lessons, for example, and you might have like little bullet points. We love bulleted lists. You might have a part of that list that lists the length of time of your lesson. And I'll use an example from my studio. My studio, we are on a 45-minute model. I made that switch years and years ago when I just decided 30 minutes is not enough. So if I wanted to communicate the benefit and not just the time, right? I would take that a step further to say, here at Sarah's Music Studio, we offer 45-minute lessons because we know that having that extra chunk of time allows for students to explore through gamification. It allows them to ask more questions. It allows us to spend time actually practicing during a lesson so that students feel better equipped when they go home. Notice that speaks to a parent's desires. It speaks to the fact that parents might struggle with kids practicing. It speaks to the fact that kids want that space and time to be curious because let's face it, they're not given that in schools. I don't want to get on that soapbox today. So those are two points. And then finally, let's wrap up this client-centric language here with another idea. Before we do that, we have some other people popping in on Instagram. I see that Cheryl says, my website has been live since October. Exciting. I love that. And Wendy says, I love the benefit language. Craig is saying, I think I've done pretty well in using client-centric language, but I definitely need to do it more and double check what I'm saying. I like that. All right. So the third point here for client-centric language is and this is building on what we said last week about accessibility, but accessibility in a different way. We want to use inclusive and accessible language that avoids jargon and that it is easily accessible and understandable to a broader audience. This is going to ensure that your website speaks to where your client is in that point of their journey. And this is also going to improve your SEO because if you are using language that is understood by the client, it is more searchable. So the example that I always use, and so if you've been here, you've heard me say this before. The example I always use is instead of saying the term voice lessons, use the term singing lessons because that's what people are typically searching for. And there's so many other examples of that, but we could go down the road of like, don't talk about cricothyroid and blah, 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 and that kind of like jargony language in the voice teacher world, rather than saying, we can help you with that break in your voice. That's going to be much more clear client language. All right. If there are any questions so far in that client-centric language, pop them down below. We're going to move on to our next point here. The next point of today in making people fall in love with your website is, let's talk about the power of storytelling. I love a good story. All right, so we're going to cover 3 points here. First, I want you to check your website for what we would call narrative flow. We want to create like a compelling narrative that guides people through your website so that they know what step to take next, so that each section is kind of building on the last one, and it is telling your client, that potential client, the complete story of your brand and the value that you are able to bring to them. So we want each section of your site to have an intention. And this is something that when I am working with clients on mapping out website, this is something that we do before we even write copy. We think about what are all the pages that are going to be on your website? How do these pages relate to one another? And how are we leading people through the journey so that they get to that point of taking action? Now, I'm not saying that in order to take action, clients need to see every single part of your site. In fact, that's probably not a good thing. They're going to, they want, if they are ready and they want to take action right now. So we're going to have different calls to action throughout the site. But what we want to do is make sure that the site is cohesive and that there is some type of a narrative and a flow. So when I am either auditing a website or if I am working with a one-on-one coaching client, we map that out first. And it's really important to do that. So examine your sitemap. See, does it make sense? Or is it kind of like all tangled and people aren't sure where to go? Narrative flow is important. Let's keep that going, right? So when we are creating a narrative on our website, one of the things that we can do is use visuals as a way to enhance that narrative. So whether they are images, videos, or graphics, they should not just be used as decoration, but as an integral part of your storytelling process, because these have the ability to enhance the narrative and really make it more engaging and memorable. So my tip here is if you have visuals on your website, especially if you are using photos, use real photographs, not stock photos. We want these photos to really speak to the desires, to the needs, to the emotions of our clients so they can visualize themselves in the process. So if you have not invested time or maybe money in getting some branding photos done, it's a really big game changer when it comes to your website. Now, you don't have to spend tons and tons of money. The iPhones that are out there, and I don't know what the other ones are called because I'm a Mac girl. Just gonna be honest, I'm a Mac girl. The iPhones, the cameras that we have on our phones are so amazing. You can get fantastic photos on your own, or maybe you have a friend that can take them for you, but use real photographs. It is really important. Okay, final bit about storytelling here, and this is my favorite part, so pay close attention here. I want you to remember when you are writing your website copy that your client, this person who is coming to your site, when it comes to the narrative, they are the protagonist in the story. So I want you to think about crafting your website structure and the storytelling and the copy with the client at the center. They are the hero of their own journey. We want to use language and imagery that's going to place them at the very center of this story and highlight how your services or your products can empower them to overcome challenges and to achieve their goals. And some of you right now might be going, oh, wait, I've heard about this in English class. It is the hero's journey. It is that, standard story that we see in everything, right? Star Wars, Harry Potter, I'm just going to nerd out there, but it's the hero's journey. You are creating your own hero's journey on your website with your client as the hero. They are the protagonist at the center of the story. And in my opinion, it's kind of fun to play around with that because I like to do a little bit of creative writing. So when you think about the fact that your client is the hero and write it from that standpoint, you're going to have a lot more fun with your website copy. Yay! I love the takeaways, Cassandra. Thank you so much. Good morning, Amy. It's lovely to see you. And keeping up with the Instagrammers, Wendy asks, how much do potential clients actually want to read on a website? Great question. less than you think. So when you're writing those stories, make them short, make them succinct, make them punchy. Okay, so let's continue on. We have one more point to look at today. Okay, so finally, another way to make clients fall in love with your site is to think about what are some of the interactive elements that I might be able to incorporate. So this will not be applicable to everyone. I think that this is more for teachers who maybe you know that your clients have a longer purchasing process, meaning that it's going to take them a much longer time to get to know, like, trust you, and then invest in themselves. But this could also be useful for, educating parents, clients that might be on a waiting list. So let's go through that. The first point here is engagement through interactivity. Quizzes, interactive infographics, engaging blog content. All of these things can turn a passive website experience into an active website experience where people feel like they are participating in what's going on your site. The goal here is to increase the engagement and the time that they spend there. So some examples might be, for those of you who have a waiting list on in your studio, you might consider publishing a monthly blog and sending that out to the waiting list so that you're keeping people informed about what's going on. For those of you who maybe sell courses, or memberships, it would be lovely to put together a quiz that, would really identify whether or not somebody is ideal for that course or that membership. There are so many different quiz tools out there that can be really, really fun. The final point here about these interactive elements is that the point is to provide value in education. You're wanting to provide those things. They're going to be entertaining, they could be problem solving, they could be educational, and that's going to allow you to build more trust and establish your brand as an authority. So this is something that we've been, revisiting here at Savvy. Our blog kind of went dormant for a little while, but we've made a very concerted effort this year to make sure that we are publishing at least one pretty juicy blog every single month. I just wrapped up writing our summer camp blog, and there's a lot of good information on there, including some formulas that will help you calculate tuition. So if that's something you're interested in, stay tuned. We'll be releasing that soon. So, easy ideas for those of you who might consider having a blog, doing like top 10 lists for like 10 tips to nail your high school audition, etc., things like that. Not only is that going to help establish your authority and your expertise in your field, but it's also going to contribute to your SEO, which is something that we're going to be talking about in the near future here. All right, we're going to do a recap, but if there are any questions, go ahead and drop them, but let's bring these up. Cassandra says, I'm going to relook at your website in a new light to see exactly what you're saying. I love it. Craig says, quizzes and interactive content. I hadn't thought of that. Yay. Yeah, that's good stuff. It can be really, really useful to have those types of things on our sites. All right, let's make sure that we have all the things in all the places. Hey there, Piano Studio Evolution just joined over on Instagram. Nice to see you. All right, let's wrap this up. So let me get this. Before we wrap it up, all right, February is website month here at Savvy Music Studio, and we have recently released a new service, and that is our website audit. And so I'm going to give you a quick tour of this. You can get information about our website audit on our website. And let me do a quick screen share here. So our website audits, no, I don't want to update my password. Thank you, Restream. Our website audits are personalized, and the way that these audits work is, and we have a little timeline down here on the bottom, which is interactive, by the way, now that I'm thinking about it. These websites are really geared towards making sure that if your website's not getting enough traffic, or if you're getting the wrong types of inquiries, you are going to have guidance that leads you step by step through how you can improve your site. So you're going to get a video, you're going to get insights on your site's performance, you're going to get step-by-step instructions, all of those things. And you can look at all of the things that are included in our website audits here, and look at the little interactive graphic that goes down here. It tells you exactly the steps that we go through. So with this process, and you can look at this website later. I'm kind of proud of it. I spent a lot of time working on this. But the point is, our audits, they are not just like a quick delivery service. We take a lot of time with them. When you initially book that audit, you're going to get a questionnaire that's going to come back to you and guide you through some really good questions to allow us and the team to make sure that we're focusing in on the correct things that we understand about your business. And then we will take a couple of weeks to pour over that website, make that coaching video, make that checklist, and deliver it back to you. And then we're there to answer questions if there's anything that doesn't make sense in the audit. So if that is something that you are interested in getting, let us know. Amy says, your audits are awesome. Thank you so much, Amy. That makes me so happy to hear. If you want to get information about those audits, then go ahead, drop the word love down below, and the Savvy Sarahbot will send you information about those audits, and you can check them out for yourself. We only do a couple audits each month since they are time consuming on our part, and right now we have 2 spots available for February and March. All right, so let's do a recap here. All right, let's do it. All right, so much to cover. So much. We can do this. Friends, we can do this. All right, here we go. In the virtual world, your website is like a digital handshake, and we want that first impression to matter. But how do we transform your website into love at first sight for your clients? Here are 3 ways that we can weave that love magic into your website and make that website a place that really sings and connects with your ideal clients. The first step is to use client-centric language. Client-centric language is so important. If your website is full of words like I, me, that's not client-centric. We want the language on your website to be able to reflect the needs, challenges, and aspirations of your client and show that you understand what they need and that you can create this connection that makes them feel seen and understood and valued. So test that, do the eye test on your website. If you see a lot of eyes, it's not as client-centric as you think. Another thing that you can do, check your website and make sure that you are focusing on benefits in addition to features. So a feature is something that is deliverable. It's part of your service. It's part of your product. Whereas a benefit is what happens once a client uses that feature or why you've chosen that feature. So a good example of this would be if you have chosen to have a 45-minute lesson model versus a 30-minute lesson model, communicate exactly why you are doing that. In my case, it's because I know that those 45 minutes are going to give those students a lot more time to explore, time to gamify concepts, time to ask more questions, and time to actually understand how to practice before they go home. All right. Another little tip here for websites, inclusive language. Make it accessible. When you are choosing the words to use on your site, make sure that you're not using jargon that's not going to be understood by a client. So if you are going to write about how you can help someone with that break in their voice, don't use a whole bunch of voice teachery words that your client is not going to understand at this point. Use language that is simple, that is accessible, and that will speak to where they are at this point in their journey. Your website is like a story. An effective website will tell a story and create this narrative that guides people through the website in a way that moves them to take action. And one of the best ways that we can do that is by writing it from a standpoint that makes our client the hero of their own journey. It's like it was in English class, right? The hero's journey. It's that concept of being able to craft a narrative where your client is at the center of that narrative and you are telling them that you understand where they are in that journey, and that you are highlighting how your services or your products can empower them to overcome their challenges and achieve their goals. All right, final bit here is I love making websites fun and interactive because it's a great way to get clients to stick around and spend a little bit more time there. So if you are selling courses or lessons or anything like that, or if you're trying to keep your wait list entertained, consider having things like quizzes, interactive infographics, or engaging blog content, because that can turn a passive website visitor into an active participant. And their goal is to create more engagement and increase the time that they are spending on your site, because when we are able to do that, we are able to better establish our brand as an authority and build that know, like, trust that is necessary for that client to take the next step. All right. Those are all of our tips for today. If you want to get a hold of the full broadcast where we talked about everything, you can drop the word love down below. And if you want to learn about the audit services that we provide here at Savvy Music Studio, the Savvy Sarah bot will be glad to send you the link. All right, we will be back next time. Thanks so much for being here, everyone. In the meantime, stay savvy and stay you, because you are an amazing music teacher and there is no one in the world quite like you. And I think you are pretty dang awesome. We'll see you next time. Thanks for being here.